All right. Yo, we are now live on the tube of you. How's that for you?
That's cool.
Um, yeah. So, I don't know. Is there any news or anything?
Well, this week the solicitations dropped for May 2018, which is always kind of exciting. And May is going to see the big launch of Harbinger Wars 2 finally. And by looking at it, there's going to be the prelude book followed by the main series, which will run throughout the summer. A lot of cool stuff with it from what I saw. There's a lot of cool covers for Harbinger Wars 2 that kind of bummed me out since I don't really collect too many of the like incentive covers. The metal cover is rad. It's that La Rosa image of Livewire beating down Exo Manowar. So a bit of a bummer that's not going to be something that like everybody can get, but it's pretty rad.
Yeah. I didn't. I don't know. I'm having a hard time getting too excited about Harbinger Wars 2 right now. It just is weird that they're changing things. Obviously, I don't know whether what that will affect or if it will even affect anything. Because if anything, it may just be a small format change, and that may mean nothing to the story. So at the end of the day, my level of enjoyment is going to be determined by the quality of the story, and that's what's most important to me. Um, I got into Valiant Comics as someone who enjoys reading good comics, and that's what excites me about the company is that that's what I get from them. So, as long as that's what I get out of this event, I'll be happy. I just, I'm crazy excited about the, um, the compendium. I'm gonna have a hard time justifying buying it. I want it, but I'm really excited about it. It seems like such an awesome idea. I hope they do more of that, like with Armor Hunters, etc. The 4001 AD event. Um, I um, just wish that this event felt like what Harbinger Wars, the original Harbinger Wars, felt like. And Chris, I don't think we're being negative Nancy's. Are we being negative Nancy's?
What was that? We're
Oh,
not being
Chris.
negative Nancy's
No, Chris says in the live chat, "Don't be negative Nancy's."
to
Uh,
us.
yeah, I think so. I think
Well,
we got to
shit,
fight him
man.
now.
Here I was thinking I was too positive, since I'm on the company payroll,
Yeah,
getting
obviously you're on the company payroll. That's true.
getting paid in gold books, man. Fucking.
Yeah, get paid in
Um,
gold.
let's
Um,
touch on the compendium real quick. So
sure.
for people who are joining us live, or if you're listening to this as a podcast episode later on, um, there's a compendium coming out for Harbinger Wars, and it's a really neat book. It's the first thing that Valiant has offered in this kind of format. It's basically like a soft cover omnibus. Has a retail price of $59.99, and what it has is it has the first 13 issues of Bloodshot from 2012, followed by the first 14 issues of Harbinger, and then the Harbinger Wars miniseries. So it's everything that leads up to that series plus the main series. It's pretty cool. I mean, it just sounds, at least it sounds cool, um, on paper. And I already own all this stuff in either paper or hardcover or digital. So it's going to be really hard for me to buy something like this. But I think if you're there's always new fans. And if you're a new fan that's like, hey, I want to read some of this back stock that Valiant has for the last 6 or 7 years or whatever it is, this is a great way to jump in. I mean, you get like 31 issues of story right there. It's less than $2 an issue. That's a deal. And keep in mind too that right now, at least, there are trade paperbacks that are out of print. Books like Harbinger Wars actually are not in print right now. And you never know like what the mindset with Valiant is going to be now. Are they going to keep every book in print forever? That's part of their catalog. No one else does that, but maybe Valiant will be different, But I mean, they probably have a way of checking sales and stuff probably slows down from time. Although I would imagine with a big event like this, maybe people want the trade. But then again, there's this massive honking trade, 31 issues. So maybe that's their like reasoning for letting some books kind of slip out of print.
Yeah. Like you said, I do think it's a good way to get people to jump in. I mean, honestly, that now may very well be, one of the easiest things to suggest. And now, obviously, it's not going to be easy for and just anybody to go out and drop enough money, um, hoping that it'll be good, right? But I think that it's definitely something that if you read it as a new reader to Valiant, you get a really good idea of what a lot of us think was so special about the beginning of this universe. Um, you know, that those early Harbinger arcs, those early Bloodshot arcs, that whole Harbinger Wars event, it's one of the most cohesive and complete events I've ever read in comics, and I think that it's I don't know, it's something that I wish we saw more of. And I know not every event can have the same format, but I really like the format of that event.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a perfect format because the main series of Harbinger Wars is really good, and then what happened in Bloodshot and Harbinger was just kind of like their viewpoint, if you will, of what was going on. So sometimes it felt like the same story just from a different set of eyes, or a little, certain scenes just expanded upon. And maybe that's part of the reason why Harbinger Wars 2 has gotten the change, is because maybe they felt like doing something different. I'm not sure about it. I do know that Eric Heiser's work with Valiant, his last issue is that like prelude issue. And to me, he's a huge loss if he's not going to be doing a lot of books in the near future with Valiant.
Okay, but do we know that he's done? How do we know for sure?
No, we just know that he's no longer doing the main series for Harbinger Wars. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him, because I think like Secret Weapons is such a fresh idea. Him and Raul Allen and Patricia Martin, they make that book work. And I just want more of that. I loved it. It's one of my favorite things that Valiant's done. So for me, I'm just kind of hoping like maybe Heiser won't be as involved as he was, but hopefully he'll still be around. Hopefully he'll still do Secret Weapons books or something else here and there. But it's kind of weird that they did make a change to the overall series this close to it coming out.
Yeah,
Um,
especially since
and
they
nobody
announced it
knows
almost 2 years
nobody
ago.
knows why.
Yeah, they announced it almost 2 years ago, and now they're going to change it. You know,
Yeah, the
um,
last minute.
but yeah, I know that there was some reporting out there that Heiser was done writing at Valiant completely. But as that was being talked about, he was on Twitter posting that he loved to write more Secret Weapons and has had a good time there. And it wasn't, I'm definitely going to be working with him again, or I'm definitely not. It seems like the possibility is open, and maybe it's just uncertain right now, or maybe he knows for sure and isn't at liberty to say, I have no idea. I just am not going to assume until we know. And, um, I'm also not going to say that one writer leaving means the end of the universe and the sky is falling because, Robert Venditti left, right? Like he literally up to the point that he ended his Wrath of the Eternal Warrior run, he was the consistent writer of a Valiant comic from literally the first time VEI printed, because the first book they printed was his number one of Exo Manowar. So, I mean, he led off the Valiant universe, did over 50 issues on his XO run, did an awesome Wrath of the Eternal Warrior run, and then he left and doesn't write for Valiant anymore. And that's a big deal. I think that's a big loss to the Valiant universe. But at the same time, we've got other people, giving us their vision. Matt Kent has had a lot of influence on what the Valiant universe has turned out to be. Jeff Lemire is carving out his corner. We're getting new people coming in like Diggle writing Shadow Man. Kibblesmith didn't stick around long. I was hoping that he would, but we've got Elliot Rahal. Speaking of Kibblesmith, Rahal's going to be taking over on Quantum and Woody. So there are other writers with visions, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and the fans don't react positively. We saw that with Rafer Roberts, unfortunately. For whatever reason, people didn't enjoy his work. Some of us did, obviously, more than others, but it just wasn't enough to keep the titles going. So that's what happens. If a writer comes in and people don't like the books, they don't sell, and we get new creative teams, and hopefully we continue to get more good ones than bad. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's all we can really hope for. But I do hope Heiser sticks around, having said all that.
Yeah. There's a couple neat things about the solicitations for May that I noticed though. One is that there's 8 separate books that are going to be available.
Yeah, but
I know it's baby steps, but I always think we've been at like 6 books for so long, and people have that complaint of like, give me some more. This is your month. Like you'll have 8 books. And another thing that I think is really neat about Harbinger Wars too is that now it's a 6-issue series, and Valiant's going to do a pre-order edition for the Prelude and the Aftermath issue. So 6 issues will get the pre-order edition treatment. It's really nice because I do like those formats, and they don't seem like they're consistent with which books are going to get them or not. But I'm pretty happy that that's going to get it. I have high hopes for it, even though I don't know if it will be as good now. But that's really about it. And one thing I know that got pointed out by Chris was they're doing away with the Valiant Premium format. It looks like, or at least there's no books listed with that Valiant Premium format, because normally we get XO and we get Bloodshot Salvation that are listed as that. And it may be that they're going back to a different paper stock. Those hard cardstock covers might be going away. Not really sure what's going on with that. I tried contacting Valiant on it, but they didn't respond to inquiry.
that sucks.
Not the end of the
Yeah,
world, but it's just one of those like weird little changes where you're just like, why change that?
yeah. I think that that's something that set Valiant's books apart in a lot of ways. Especially like I remember when they put out the Valiant, and that was the first book I saw that had thicker stock cover. There were no ads. It was just, here is an awesome comic, and that's all we need to sell you for you to come back for more. And they were right, and I feel like that I just want that spirit, right? Like, just be confident as a company that if you tell good stories, the rest will come, and I just really hope that, I don't know, man. I think that a lot of it's easy to accuse me and others of being, maybe overly optimistic or something like that. But I've actually really struggled with a lot of pessimism about everything since DMG took over. And it sucks to continue talking about this, but, um, I struggle with pessimism on it. I'm not like super optimistic. I just am in a position thinking that it's better not to form a solid opinion until we know for sure, because we don't know for sure yet. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to kick this dead horse any longer. You had a couple things that you wanted to talk about, right?
I did. Before we get into the reviews, I finally got my purchases of some of the deluxe editions and omnibus that I put out. First one being
Omnibuy?
What?
Omnibuy?
Omniboo. I don't know what the plural would be, but Divinity, the complete trilogy, is pretty awesome. So, if you guys like Divinity and you like collecting the collected editions like I do, this is a great collection. It's got probably 40, 50 pages of extra content. It's mapped out pretty well too. Like it's mapped out how you would pretty much expect, and it features all the little the one-shot stories that were part of Stalinverse, including the ones that have like the Red Legend and Coasting to Deathless. All those little one-shot origin stories are in this too. My only complaint about this actually would be that, and I understand why it's not here, but it would have been kind of neat, a little bit more complete if the two-part story from Imperium would have made it over, where Harada has to deal with Divinity. It's a cool story. It probably changes the price tag in a negative way. It makes it kind of an odd thing that they can't price properly. But that besides that, it's excellent. And I'm a huge Divinity fan. I mean, very stoked when they announced it, even though it kind of orphans my original Divinity hardcover because they're never going to make ones that go with that one anymore. And they don't ever do like great cover galleries with these books, especially this one where there's just so many covers over so many different series. It would have been a little nice if they would have put just a tiny bit more work into that, but pretty happy with it otherwise. And without the dust jacket, I don't know if this will show up in my dark kitchen, but it's got a nice clean look up. You know, once you remove the dust jacket, gold lettering, red card, red. I think it's buckram, red buckram cover. So great stuff. Leads up to Divinity Zero. That's where it stops. So if you're a newer reader who's jumped in with Eternity, all that material that you need to read is in that one volume. And then from there, one that is cool, but I'm not as stoked on, and I have a reason why. The Ninjak Omnibus. It's pretty complete. It's got the first appearance. It's got a couple of little side appearances. It's got the whole series. It's got quite a bit of like sketch work and things like that in the back. The only problem with these books that come from the 90s is that, especially in this format where the art's a little bit, I don't even know if you really call it blown up, a tiny bit, it just doesn't look great. The art looks a little grainy because they don't have a proper way to reproduce the art. Like they don't have like film or digital copies of any of this stuff, you know? So, I mean, a lot of times it looks like they're probably scanning it straight from the book. But it's a cool book, you know. I mean, if you guys like Ninjak, if you want to read Ninjak's 90s adventures, you know, it's definitely worth checking out. It's got some cool Joe Quesada artwork. It's got some cool Don Perlin stuff in the Bloodshot issues. Once you get out of that, it's hit and miss here and there, but yeah, it's cool, man. Like Ninjak's definitely a different character in that iteration. So if you want to kind of see like something different, it's worth checking out. Plus, like, it's kind of nice to see a little bit more of that older material reproduced. I always think that Valiant should put out more of their older material just because they have it, they own it, and that's what companies do. You know, get it into the hands of readers. So I'm hoping they do more with that kind of material. But Ninjak's cool. Not as cool as Divinity, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Ninjak, I don't know. Ninjak's so good right now that I wouldn't want to sully my current opinion of him by going back
Oh,
and reading.
definitely. Definitely. The new series is
um,
really good.
so we do have a couple of books to review. Um, they are Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe #2 and Quantum and Woody #3. I actually grabbed, well, I've got the other one too, but I really like this. The pre-order
That's an
cover
awesome cover.
is so good. Yeah,
It's an old homage to an old Hulk issue, like first appearance.
yeah. It's yeah. I think that book is a lot of fun, but we'll get into that. Anybody watching, if you haven't read the books, sorry, we're going to go into spoilers. So deal with that and whatever you feel is the best way for you to deal with that. Um, but first, I think we could talk about Ninjak Versus. Are you down with that, Josh?
Sure, let's do it.
Cool. So yeah, I got that cover too. I thought about getting like some of the other covers or one of the other covers, but really,
I have the photo
with the,
covers pre-ordered through DCBS, so my shop normally just gets the A cover.
yeah, I think I pre-ordered the photo covers as well. Um, but you know, I don't know, man. This book, like this art doesn't, it seems like something that we haven't seen in Valiant for a while. There were some artists doing this kind of a style back closer to the beginning of the Valiant universe, because I would compare this to like Clayton Henry. We haven't seen him around for a while. A couple other artists like him. But I'm honestly like, essentially to me, like this is just an Elseworlds book, right? Like that's what
Yeah,
it is. And it is an awesome Elseworlds book, and you get all the characters and anything can happen because it has nothing to do with continuity. And even though Valiant has less continuity to worry about than DC or Marvel, Valiant still has that, you can't kill Ninjak off while he's got a book going,
yeah,
Um, but in this, any of these characters could die, anything can happen. We see at the end of the issue, Ninjak might have died. I doubt that he did, but there's a lot of stuff going on here, and I just think that this book is really fun. I hope that we get the live action iteration, but regardless, this book is a lot of fun. The art is playful and really fun, a lot of action, and honestly, it makes me want more Elseworlds books. Like, I don't know if you've ever read any of the DC Earth One books, but I want an Earth One version of the Valiant universe where we just get non-canon, fun, big team up books and stuff like that. Like I think that would be awesome.
yeah. This was a really cool issue too because it had like the big guns all in this. We had Galad, we had Ninjak, Bloodshot, and Exo Manowar, and Roku, and I mean everybody's in this, and it was a pretty action-packed issue. I mean there were some fisticuffs going on in this shit. And kind of like what you said. Like it's a very fun book. I've had a hard time getting into the first issue when it came out because I'm just like a lot of people where I'm like, where the hell's that live action? And I don't want to get like, I wonder like how tight this script is versus the show. But it's a pretty fun book. I mean, like if this is going to be anything like the TV show when it ever comes out, if it does, I think we're all in for a treat. As far as the art goes, I mean, I think we talked about this when we talked about that last XL run that Venditti did. I'm not a huge fan of Joe Bennett. His art isn't like great to me, but it's all right. I mean, it does a pretty good job here, like telling the story. But I think the actual writing on this is where it's at. I thought this was actually handled really well, and these two issues have easily been my favorite things that Elliot Rahal's worked on. And I've kind of given him a bit of a hard time on some of the previous issues, like the Archer and Armstrong one shot from Divinity 3.
Bloodshot's Day Off was awesome though.
But Bloodshot's Day Off was awesome, yes. So, I mean, like I've been a little critical before, but like I think right here, like this is his best work, and if he's gonna be the one handling Quantum and Woody, I'm excited, man, to see what he can do. Uh, and the thing is, I think this second issue is kind of where you want this book to be at right now. You want to see like the action. You want to see Ninja going head to head with people. So I mean, this was a great issue.
Yeah, one of the comments, Sean Hayes in the live chat saying that agreeing it's a fun book because it is a fun book, but wishing it came out either at the same time or after the web series. And
I hear him
yeah,
on
I
that.
think yeah, it's hard to argue with that. We've all been waiting so patiently for so long. um,
Supposedly April, but we'll see. We'll see.
yeah, I mean, New York Comic Con, and then yeah, it's been pushed back, and now we don't know what's going on or I don't know.
Well,
Anyway,
next week is Emerald City, first big convention of the year, and Valiant does have a good presence at that show. Hopefully, something gets said. Hopefully they make an announcement that this is something that's going to be coming out. It would be great just to hear something because Valiant's been quiet for a long time on this book, aside from this miniseries.
yeah, no, they've been quiet on that, and I think that a lot of us are wondering what the company's going to be like in the public now,
Yeah.
without Dinesh around. So I think that now that con season is about to kick in, this will be a good test to find out, what people's experiences are like when they go to the Valiant booth, from here forward. So I'm interested to hear about that. But I also think at the same time, the other thing to be excited about with cons coming up is, that that's usually when people start making announcements, you know, when San Diego comes around and New York comes around and, you know, they're the really big announcements that get made. And hopefully we see some of that start trickling out. Um,
Definitely.
but as far as this book goes, um, I'm I'm going to give it a 4.25. I think it's a really strong book. Um, and I definitely would recommend reading it. I think it would be awesome for somebody to read if they don't know Valiant, um, because it just gives you a really cool version of these characters that's easily digestible. It's a lot of fun, and it doesn't require a lot of background. You don't have to worry about not knowing the intricacies of 20 years worth of story, you know?
Yeah, I'd go a little lower. I'm actually going to go about 3.75 on this just because I'm not a fan of the art, but I really like the story on this. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes from here. One thing that was kind of neat, I want to bring this up really quick, is Eric sent me something this week. It was a signed copy by
Oh,
Elliot Hall. So a big thanks to Eric. The reason I wanted to bring this up though is that this cover, it was supposed to be released at New York Comic Con. It seems like only two of them somehow got frayed by like the same seller somehow. So it's neat that they're using it. I'm glad they used it for the series just because it's a rad cover showing off the characters on the
the
film
super
side.
rad cover. Absolutely.
I wish we could see a little bit more of Shadow Man because you get a little glimpse of him, but oh, I just hate looking at this photo stuff too because I'm just like, give me the goddamn series, man. Like, come on,
Yeah.
shit's too cool.
Yep. No, I'm with you on that.
But
Um,
thank you to you, man.
what's that?
Thank you to you.
Oh, yeah. No, I was glad to send that out. And yeah, it's nice to have cool things like that to hook up other fans with. That's why we like giving away things on this show when we can.
Yep.
Probably should try doing some more of that again here soon. Um, but speaking of things that are fun, we can talk about Quantum and Woody.
Eric definitely has the better cover.
Yeah, this cover rules, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Is it
Anyway,
Portella? Who did the cover art?
for this cover,
Yeah. Yeah,
oh,
he did the cover art.
I have no idea who did this. Does anybody out in the world know? All the couple of people that are watching. Do you guys have any idea who did this? Somebody Google it for me, so I don't have to do it myself. But
Before
yeah,
you
it's
do,
just a lot of fun, man. Like it's so like, oh, you can't even really see it. It's like all retro with the Hulk on
it probably
there.
isn't. It kind of doesn't look like his style. I was just curious since it's kind of a fill-in issue.
It is, but this is something that I've been really wanting to know, right? Like, the previous Quantum and Woody stuff ended with the goat giving birth, and then we heard nothing about it. So it was fun to get this issue to kind of fill in those blanks. And there was also, this is the first issue of Portella on art on the interiors, and he's going to be doing collaborating with Elliot Rahal. Um, so it's nice to see how he interprets these characters. And I really, really liked his art on this book. Like he's kind of been hit and miss for me for certain things. Like there was
Yeah.
some of his Gen Zero that I wasn't a huge fan of. Um, but this has been really like his art in this was really, really good. Um, and there were some sequences in here. Um, the probably the best thing about this entire book is Woody taking their dad out to drink.
Yes, I was thinking of that page where he's at the pirate bar. I thought
Yeah.
it was done really well, But
Oh
the thing
yeah.
about this issue,
Here,
yeah,
I don't know how well you can see it, but it's so uh that page, like the art on that page, the way the panels are laid out, and just I don't know. That to me was like a perfect Woody thing to do. You know what I mean? And of course, Quantum goes off and he does his I gotta save everything routine. But I just thought it was perfect. And um, I don't want this book to ever end.
It's definitely like the really funny book of the Valiant universe. And it's hilarious, and at first I was like, man, this is going to be kind of a bummer because it doesn't continue on from where we left off with issue two. I think if somebody was new to this series, they'd be I think they'd be a little bit confused if you read the first two issues and then you got this. Um, it's a great issue though. It's actually like the 50th issue of Quantum and Woody that's been published.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, which I think that's why they did it as a throwback. Like it's just like a special issue, kind of, without ever announcing it, I guess, But yeah, it's like the 50th issue. And like it's gonna be weird to see Daniel Kibblesmith off of this. I do think that these three issues have just been so awesome to read. This one, I mean, I'd rather look at Kano's art than Francis Portela, but it's not necessarily a knock on Portela. It's just that what I think Kano does on the panels is a little bit better. But Francis Portela is an awesome artist, and this issue looked good. It had a lot of funny stuff. It's a really great done in one, and we don't get a lot of great done in one stories in comics anymore. Everything is written for the trade. So it was an excellent issue. I would give it high marks personally. I actually probably go about 4.5 on this one just because I did enjoy it so much. And I like I thought the ending of it was really good. I mean, we're gonna go spoilers. I liked how their dad kind of just like disintegrated back into energy. Like it had a good ending, which I don't always think of like happy endings with like Quantum and Woody, just because they're always at odds with each other so much. I thought this ended just really well.
Yeah, I completely agree. The When Quantum and Woody is done right, it is this combination of like a buddy comedy, a family drama, um, and these like I don't know, these like deep personal moments, and like I don't know, man. It gets as deep as it does funny when it's done well. And I think that this was a perfect issue to show that because this is a funny comic book taking on loss and like second chances and um even the old guy that was senile or whatever and dealing with like trying to find a new way to I don't know, man.
Dr.
Like
Hauser or whatever his name is. Fat Hauser.
yeah, the guy in the wheelchair that Quantum was like about to beat up.
Yeah.
Um I just and then the montage, the father son classic rock musical montage. I don't know if you can how much of that you
I
can
love
see.
the panel where they're dressed up as like they're in the cardboard cutouts of Ninjak and EXO is so good too.
Yeah, it's and who is Quantum supposed to be? Is that like Livewire or something?
Let me take a look.
But it's pretty hilarious. Um, but yeah, it's so heartwarming and touching, But it's just a funny, you know, funny comic book. In I don't know.
I
I
don't
think
know because Quantum is dressed in like what would be like someone's Harbinger gear, so I kind of think it's like Livewire, but Livewire, as far as I know, we've never seen her in black and blue suit with the Harbinger Foundation, but it could
yeah,
be. It's got dreads, or at
that's
least the
true.
appearance of like that kind of hair.
And then it's Galad that is empty. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious. Like this whole book, though, like those are the details. Like in that pirate bar scene, the details in that page are awesome. I don't know. Like I said, when this series is done well, I think it's really touching. And um, yeah, I know David is saying that he only read the first three or four of the Asmus run and didn't enjoy it, so he hasn't been following any of the VEI Quantum and Woody. Um, I don't know. I would say give it a chance if you can borrow it from somebody, so you don't have to buy it. I think that at least then you could read it without feeling like you have to put any money into it. Give it a chance. And if you don't like it, then you don't like it. Obviously, if you don't like it, whatever.
I would say
Um,
this though, real quick about the newer stuff. It's really well done. It's really funny. It doesn't read anything like the previous stuff. I mean, the one thing that's really nice about Valiant and how they've done Quantum and Woody is that everybody's kind of had their own voice with it. But, if you don't like it, I would say it's also really pretty in this run, though. I mean, it's going to have the best art if we're going to be getting Kano and Francis Portella.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
some of that art on the previous run, the previous 12 issues, was pretty shitty. I mean, there was some art that was a little.
Um, oh, I never gave my grade. I would actually be right there with you on this at a 4.5. This is also a really good book. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I I don't know. I hope that like I said before, I just hope that this book doesn't end. I don't want to see, a close to this book.
I
Um,
noticed today that Kibble Smith is also writing a mini series for Marvel about the Inhuman Lockjaw, who looks like a giant dog.
oh, yep.
I was like, damn, I don't know if I could buy that. Like I'm not a huge fan of the Inhumans. I never liked them growing up whenever they popped up in Fantastic Four, but I like his writing. Like, and that's kind of how it is sometimes when you're a Valiant fan. You're like, oh, I gotta like buy this guy's book because he works on books I like at Valiant. We all do that. Black Hammer, is a great example.
Because sometimes it's amazing,
Oh yeah, like
like Black
Black
Hammer.
Hammer.
Yeah, yeah. Are you caught up on Black Hammer?
No, I'm like an issue behind, but it's awesome, and I haven't read any of the like split offs yet.
Oh, yeah. Stuff's crazy, man.
But that stuff
Anybody
is
out there?
so well done. Like Lemire is so creative. I wish he could do a book like a team book at Valiant. Just
Yeah,
dealing with a whole bunch of personalities that are all different. Because I mean, he does. I mean, Bloodshot has had a lot of characters in it. We've had the different members of the Bloodshot Squad, and we've had some other people popping up in it. That the stories go along with them, like magic. But nothing like what he does with Black Hammer. Black Hammer is like my favorite thing he does. Sorry, all Bloodshot fans. I like his Bloodshot,
how
but
dare
Black
you? How
Hammer is
dare
like
you?
Black Hammer is pretty fucking good. Everything
Yeah,
I read by him is pretty good.
yeah. No, I totally agree though. Like I was saying before, I'd love to see like an Elseworlds, offshoot of books that are just fun and whatever. And I could see him doing, some crazy ass stories in a world like that. Or, you know, if they do a new Unity run, let him do it. I would love to get a Unity book back. Um,
I agree. And give us volume 2 of the deluxe edition. But the
um,
thing is, like, it's weird that we don't have Unity in a way because that is like the big team of the Valiant universe. Like even the Avengers, whether they're good or bad, we get their fucking book. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. But I just feel like there's certain things that need to be represented at all times. And having like a book where there's big threats, which I think maybe is what hurt Unity is that the threats weren't always like that serious. But I'd love to
yeah,
see it come back because it's a good cast. And we need more Livewire always. Livewire should be in a book every month.
yes, absolutely. We said for so long, we just want a mini series and we'll be happy. Turns out no.
And we got that miniseries, and we're like, give us more, man.
Yeah, miniseries wasn't enough. I need a monthly. Yeah, yeah. Hook me up with a mainline injection of a live wire fronted book. That was one of the great things about Unity was that she was the leader. I mean, you've got these other
And she
characters
was
like,
badass as a leader, too.
yeah, yeah. And then you know what? Now I'm gonna have to go back and reread Unity. Damn it, that's gonna take a bunch of time.
Another good thing about Unity, real quick, just while we're talking about it, is I always like the friendship between Galad and Colin, Ninjak and Eternal Warrior. They just have such a great friendship, where not everybody has that. Maybe Ninjak just gets along with everyone a little bit, but like I always like that kind of thing when it came up in the book. You just those guys kind of like work together very well off each other.
Yeah. Sorry, I was only partially paying attention because I'm in the live chat right now. Get on my level, bro.
Oh, the live chat.
Yeah, it's all about the live chat. Um, no, I was saying, who do you think the Unity team should be? Obviously, Livewire. Ginger makes sense because you're transporting a team around. I think for the most part, the previous team was good. You just need Bloodshot in there.
Yeah, maybe you add one different character that you didn't have before. Maybe you don't have Auric because who knows what happens after uh, Harbinger Wars 2. Maybe instead of him, you get somebody like Faith who doesn't have a book right now. And
Yeah,
you
but
make her
we already
and
saw.
you make her deal with like serious threats.
Yeah, but we already saw what happens when she does that. She runs away crying.
She needs another team.
Huh?
Or maybe you go with somebody that we don't have someone doing with. Maybe like one of the Armorines is like the replacement for Auric. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? All we can
Yeah,
do
but
is
like,
get.
who would you cast? Who would you cast though?
I don't know, man, because like,
It's like fan cast Unity time right now. Let's do this.
oh shit.
Oh, I don't mean like cast people. I just mean like create our own Unity team from the Valiant universe. To me, like I said, I mean pretty much taking that lineup from the previous book and adding Bloodshot would be essentially perfect to me because I think Auric, Ninjak, and Galad and Bloodshot all together, pretty much the most badass of badasses around. And then you put Livewire in charge, and um, and then you have the power and um, mobility of Ginger, and you could take those characters around the universe, right? Like, I mean, they could be fighting universal threats on some like get Ivar involved and do time travel and have them fight the most unimaginably huge threats ever.
You know who I think would be a good member? I mean, I like a pretty good member would be Punk Mambo. Because Punk Mambo is like a pretty useful character. Like she pops up all over the place, right? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how she'd be in like some thick ass combat, but she could cast some spells or throw a Molotov cocktail at somebody. She could do
Throw
some
some
shit, you
glue,
know.
huff some glue, and
Just get like a rag out and just huff on. But
yeah.
at the same time, though, she's been really cool. Like when we've seen her. And I think that's a character that the company obviously wants to do more with because she's starting to pop up like all over the place. Um, I would have said Shadow Man because I love Shadow Man, even though like he hasn't been great with
He's been a
DEI,
little bitch. He's been a whiny little bitch.
but I like the character a lot. But he's getting his own book. And for me, I think give someone who doesn't have their own book that spot. So,
I don't
what about
know.
you?
I mean, I don't know. I would love to see a Unity book. Honestly, just about any team, I'd be happy. Um, but the other stuff I keep talking about is the New Age of DC Heroes. Um, I have really been enjoying that. The newest one that just came out last week, and I had Tor read it, and then I didn't get a chance to read it, so we didn't talk about it.
That one
Um,
came out last week, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It did. That's why I wanted to talk about it last week. And then I was just assuming that you would have read it. So I
It
made sure to read it before today, and then you didn't read it.
I did not read it.
You son of a
But
bitch.
tell me what you feel about it. I mean, are you 3 for 3 that like this new initiative of publishing the DC's doing? Is it like, does it work with you?
So I will say, on the one hand, this is my least favorite of the three we've gotten so far. Um, but on the other hand, um, while this art isn't really like my favorite style, it is a very cool style, and I think it really fits with this character and his powers. So I think that's a good match, and it's always nice when the art fits the feel that you get from the character. So I think that that's something that this book is doing really right. And then I think the other thing that I think is really well done about this book is that we kind of get this. Um, this book feels like the pilot episode of a TV show. It's like, okay, here's the origin story of the cast, of characters for this book. Here's, who they are and why they are who they are. And then by the end of the issue, you get, and here's why you should keep reading. So it felt like, um, that's pretty much what you have to do with a number one issue of a new character. You have to say, here's who this character is, here's why you should care about him, and here's why you should come back. And I feel like that this issue checked all of those boxes for me. So, not perfect, but it was really fun. And it's definitely something that I would recommend to people who want diversity in their comics, because this is led by a non-white character. And also people who want to read. See, I think what's cool about this and why I'm so excited about this whole New Age of DC Heroes thing is that it gives us like the freshness and the new perspective of something like a new company like Valiant, but it's also anchored in the history and rich universe of the DC comic book universe. So I feel like it's kind of a best of both worlds situation with it. And
I'm still listening. I just have to go off camera for a moment.
it's yeah, it's really good, and I'm definitely going to keep reading it and see where it goes. Um, okay, so Sean did give a suggestion for Unity Team: Punk Mambo, Ninjak, Bloodshot. Oh, a Bloodshot squad member, and Torque. Now, if Torque was on it, I would have to seriously consider not reading.
I'll hold on real quick on that, because I mean, like, I think we both have talked about how much we don't like Torque.
Yeah, fuck Torque.
But maybe we get the right writer who like doesn't just make him so annoying. Or maybe
if he wasn't like that, then I would say that they missed the character.
Well, yeah,
right?
it's true, but I mean, at the same time, you got to have some like character growth at some point.
Oh yeah,
He is such a
yeah.
massive douche character, but the thing is, he's a powerhouse that we do kind of don't get a lot of with the Valiant universe. That's actually like a pretty decent choice, and I don't think there'd be anyone there who would be like, "Don't kill this person." I think they'd all be kind of bloodthirsty, because Torque is just like, he's such a like crazed egomaniac in like his unbreakable body, that like he doesn't necessarily kill anyone, but Ninjak and Bloodshot kill people like crazy. So like, would Torque be like the voice of reason for that team? Like that's pretty wild.
Damn it. I really hate that you just like completely back that up. I think I just assumed that you would be on my side on that one.
Okay, so Torque would be the guy who would be like, oh, hold on, guys, we need to think this through. Maybe don't cut that guy's head off. Don't shoot someone. It would actually work really well if it was just like them going at each other's throats the whole time. It would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, it won't happen, but like, so we're in a way saved from it not working.
So like, I just feel like Ninjak and Torque though, really like, man.
Have they ever interacted?
Oh, I doubt it. I seriously doubt Ninjak and Torque have ever interacted. It's just Ninjak is such a smartass, right? And I just feel like Torque would be I don't know. I maybe he wouldn't even get the sarcasm, right? And maybe that would be part of the charm of them interacting. Would be Torque would kind of be lost some of the time, I think.
Well, not only that, but think about this: like, Ninjak is in a way like the Batman of like the Valiant universe. So he would probably know like everything about Torque, including like what's underneath that big shell. So I almost feel like he would just like constantly fuck with him when they're not like in fights. But even when they're in fights and Torque doesn't do like necessarily the right thing, he would just ride on him and just grind him down. It would be kind of entertaining.
Oh man.
Hey, real quick, did you like Sideways? That's the latest book, right?
Yes.
But did you like it even though it wasn't Like, even though she like your least favorite?
Um, so yeah, I would say that I did. It was still enjoyable, even though it wasn't like I said. I mean, it was my least favorite of the three, but I think all three of them have been good, and all three are worth reading.
So you're gonna
Um,
continue buying it.
yeah, yep.
Okay. I'm gonna throw an audible real quick. I had talked about what I wanted to talk about, like what book I've been reading and liking. But then I saw something else that I've been reading and I love. I love it so much. And I don't think we've talked about this. I don't know if you know about it. It's a book called Maestros from Image Comics. Okay. This is maybe my favorite non-Valiant book right now. It's got just absolutely beautiful art. The art's by a guy named Steve Scrossi or Scrose. I'm not sure how his name's pronounced, but he used to work on The Matrix as a storyboard artist. And the line work in this is just like top notch. Beautiful colors. Colors are by Dave Stewart. And basically, what it is it's like an adult book. So like, there's a lot of swearing. There's a lot of like penis magic, as I would call it.
What?
I can't show pictures because we're not that kind of episode. But
Oh, good.
but basically, Maestro is just the story about a guy whose dad is basically like the most like supreme wizard in all of creation, the Maestros. And his dad dies, and then he has to become the supreme magic guy. And he's not quite like his dad, but unfortunately, his dad had made enough enemies that like people just keep coming for him. And it's a pretty graphic book. It's hilarious. It's really funny. It's well written. And again, I think like just from like an artistic standpoint, like there's not a lot of books like it. I'm not a huge fan of like the art style over at Image, where it just seems like a lot of like scratchy art, but like nice colors. I mean, that's how I feel about a lot of their books. And this is definitely a book where like someone took the time to like put detail into what they're doing. Um, he'd be an awesome Valiant artist, I think. But yeah, it's my favorite book that's not put out by Valiant right now. And I believe it's just a mini series. Issue 5 came out this week. And basically, he's going to work with the devil to defeat his enemies.
That
It's
actually
pretty
looks pretty
bad.
cool.
Yeah, he's not going to be the dick his dad was. And the way that he wins the devil over is by giving the devil back his erections.
Oh, wow.
His dad took them away from him. It's like
Oh,
I said, it's hilarious. It's way funny. And I did an interview earlier. Well, I guess not earlier. I did an interview last year with the writer and artist, and it was a really cool experience. You know, like I've been a big fan of that dude forever. He did a book called Doc Frankenstein for Burly Man Entertainment, and he did Wolverine, and he's a rad artist. I mean, the art is just really cool. But that's what I've been reading, and I think it's just going to end with the next issue. It's just a mini, but I'd buy it every month if it came out.
yeah, it sounds like it'll make an interesting trade if nothing else.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I don't know if we have a whole lot of other topics. I mean, obviously we could talk about other comic. Oh, you have one more?
One more thing I did want to mention this week is Comics Pro, and we're recording on February 22nd. On the 23rd, Dinesh gives his speech at Comics Pro. So I'm hoping something comes out from it. I would just love to know like what he has to say to the industry there. We're all fans of the guy, obviously, but yeah, that's tomorrow. He gives the keynote speech. He's the keynote speaker at Comics Pro. So, and the reason I bring it up too is because I've seen this happen a lot. Where at Comics Pro they always have a bunch of Valiant merch, Exo calendar, shot glasses, preview books that don't even have like full lettering or they're not colored. And I've seen people pay like a crazy amount of money for these books. Like I've seen a guy who bought the Bloodshot Reborn one for like over $100. They're not hard to get. This stuff comes out. If anybody out there who listens to us or watches us, if you're a collector and you're like, man, I gotta get maybe there's a preview book for Shadow Man. I don't know. Just wait. They always come out cheap, man. Like, don't be the guy that spends $100 because you just have to know like what 2/3 of the story is in the issue. So that's my PSA for tonight.
It will be interesting to, I don't know, because they don't allow press at that thing. So how much are we going to know about what Dinesh says?
Someone might release some information. You never know. But that's why I'm saying, like, I'd be interesting to know. Like, I'm kind of gonna keep my phone around me tomorrow just so I can see if anything comes out of it. See if anybody who, like, a retailer that I know, if any of them are there, or if someone's like, I'm gonna put this information out. Like, we'll just see. We'll just see.
Oh, yeah, it would be nice to know what he has to say, and
Yeah,
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what's coming next. Because I don't know. I would love to see him start something new, you know?
I'd like to see the guy just stay involved if he can. You know.
Yeah. Well, at least with comics, if not even with Valiant, you know. Um, but yeah. So I feel like this week of books, like Ninjak Versus is obviously a side book that doesn't really interact with it doesn't interact in any way with the normal universe of the Valiant comics. And I feel like Quantum and Woody are always kind of their own thing, so they
Yeah.
don't really interact with much of the other parts of the Valiant universe either. I guess in Elliot Rahal's upcoming stuff, they're going to feel the effects of Harbinger Wars 2. But I don't know. I just feel like this book feels, or this week feels like a step aside from the normal regular Valiant universe, and we kind of just have a week of books that are off doing their own thing.
Yeah. It does kind of feel like a kind of a weird way for everything to kind of be out there right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do we have? It would be really smart to know what books are coming out next week, so we can talk about that when I want to talk about it. Um,
I
do you
think
have any idea what's coming out next week?
I can find out in a minute.
Yeah, I can find out in a minute too, but I was hoping that you knew right now.
Probably
I
XO.
know. Is EXO coming out?
It seems like it's felt like a good amount of time since we got the last issue.
Oh, that's what it is. It's just EXO. That's the only thing coming out. Um, so I think EXO coming out, um, because honestly, man, I mean, this book has been so kind of underwhelming for me that, I mean, where are we at? Is this the second issue of the um
The Bounty
arc where
Hunters
the bounty hunters are there? Who's doing art on this arc now?
is Ryan Bodenheim.
Okay. Oh yeah, the art was good in the last issue.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how this issue goes. I'm honestly ready for him to come back to Earth and get done with Harbinger Wars 2 so that Barbarians arc will be over, and I want to see where the title goes from there. That's what I'm excited about.
You know, one thing that I felt from looking at those solicitations, and I'm not saying this is, but it has a bit of a Venditti feel, you know, kind of art reaching back to his roots a little bit, you know, like I'm actually really curious to see how those issues play out because I do like those moments when they happened prior under Venditti. And Kent's a talented writer, so he chose not to tie in with Harbinger Wars 2, probably because he's writing the whole thing now. But I'm actually kind of excited. I've actually liked the last like 3 or so issues a lot of XO because I do agree it started out strong and then it kind of just got like just average while he was just like conquering every single person. It kind of felt like the same story issue to issue. And I think now it's like really interesting, you know, like everybody kind of hates him. No, nobody likes Arik except for the armor, and he doesn't like the armor. So I don't know. I'm kind of digging it the last 3 issues.
So, and then since we may as well, because why not? I thought we could just we talked a little bit about the solicits that came out, but we could run through them quick if you're cool with that.
Yeah,
Um, So we're getting Harbinger Wars 2, #1. Um, yeah, and like you said, the covers look pretty amazing. Um, and yeah, man, it's such a bummer that they do these badass covers on those metal covers, and then they're fucking impossible to come by.
I've been meaning to ask you this. Do you still get all the Bloodshot covers?
No,
Do
nope,
you have a metal one?
I do.
Oh, wow. That's cool. I
Yeah,
can't do it.
I broke down and got a metal one. I couldn't not get a metal Bloodshot cover. I don't have any of the other metal ones. I don't have an EXO, Ninjak, uh, not getting a Shadow Man or a Harbinger Wars 2, but I do have a Bloodshot. Um, I don't know. The Harbinger Wars 2 Prelude, like, it's just hard to know like what to think about it and what to expect. And yeah, man, I mean, the covers for that actually look pretty cool as well. I just really wish we had some kind of idea of what's going to be. I don't know. I don't know. If the story's good, then the story's good. I don't know. Do you? I don't know. We probably don't need to keep talking. And then Quantum and Woody 6.
That's the
It's
first issue with Elliot writing it, I believe. And
yep.
that one time.
And so something to do with um their gauntlets are gone, so there's
No,
no more
they rely
clay.
upon the gauntlets still rely upon electricity to be around. And whatever Livewire does to the electrical circuit of the United States makes it so there's no electricity that is being funneled into the gauntlets, so they can't clang it up.
That's crazy. It'll be
We'll
interesting to
see.
see if what's going to happen to them.
And one thing I do want to say on that note, really, really quick, is I do hope that June will give us some more tie-ins to Harbinger Wars 2 because it's going to be really weird if that's the only one. I
Yeah,
suspect that we'll get three more. That seems about par of the course.
it would be cool to get some more. I mean, who knows? We'll see. Um, yeah, it's hard to know what they're going to do, because they're making changes to this event last minute. So who knows what's going to come out? We're kind of left in the dark, and it's weird. Um, but then yeah, that like you said, EXO, that new arc starts with barbarians. Um, I don't know. I think it's probably going to be cool. I think it's weird that we're getting Trevor Harrison on art. I don't really think of him as being an EXO artist, but I guess it makes sense going back to barbarian days.
Well, I think it's great news because there's a lot of like questions up in the air with whether he was going to be done with Valiant once Eternity wrapped up.
Sure.
So glad he's back. Glad he's still sticking around. I do like his art. I think it could look good. Um, we'll see.
Shadow Man 3 will be coming out in May. Um, those covers look really cool as well.
Yeah,
Definitely ever since I read that preview of Shadow Man, I've been stoked about it. And the one bummer is that there's so much talk about the whole DMG buyout and Dinesh being gone that we haven't really spent as much time hyping the stuff that's coming. But the really only thing that we know is coming that we should be hyping is Shadow Man. Um, and it looks like it's going to be awesome. I think that a lot of people are nervous about it because we've never seen Andy Diggle write Valiant before. But I don't know. I've got high hopes for it.
I think that next week will be really telling with Valiant. If something gets, I mean, it might be that with Emerald City next weekend, they might just be kind of holding back. Maybe they have an announcement or two. I really hope so. I felt like we got stuff announced, or I felt like Dinesh, being Dinesh, was dropping hints here and there about things. Like he mentioned the Alpha and Bloodshot Salvation. That news about the series came out last year at Emerald City. I think when I interviewed Dinesh, I think I asked him about certain elements of it. But yeah, there was stuff that came out during that weekend. They I think that's when they also announced that they're going to kill off the major character in the Valiant universe, which ended up being Gen Zero.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully we get some announcements. We'll see.
If they don't
Um,
announce anything, I would be very disappointed, and I would be kind of like questioning like where this company is going if we don't get anything.
well, if we make it, through some of the really big cons beyond that, and we don't get anything, yeah, then I'll be really worried. But I don't know. I'm not going to base it on one.
But
Um,
this is like a big Valiant show though. I mean, like they do really good business there. They got a lot of fans that show out for it. So they do a lot of like panels. I just feel like it would be really weird if they're just like, well, you know what we have, and that's it. We can't say anything else. It would just be weird
yeah,
to me. Having been
hopefully
there
they
the
got
last
something
2 years
else.
too, and how awesome they've
Um,
been.
and the other stuff coming out, we got Ninja K #7, which is going to be
Yeah.
Coalition. Can't wait for that. Not really much needs to be said. Bloodshot Salvation #9, which is going to be the Bloodhound issue. And I don't know, man. As much as, I know you were talking earlier about, liking the one and done issues, and I just don't, um, man, I don't know. I, I don't know how to feel about that is pretty much where I'm at. Like I
Well, it
want,
depends on where the story's at. Where is the story going to be like left on like a cliffhanger? Then like, hey guys, here's Bloodhound. Like that's where it's kind of hard, you know. I felt like that a little bit with when they did the issue about Rampage, where it's just like it was a good issue, it was a great issue, but then it's like it just kind of hampers the flow of the series. If you read
yeah,
that trade, you would be like, "What the hell is this?"
yeah. And I know that there's probably the like, oh, keep them in, keep them wanting more and keep them coming back for the next issue, by interrupting the story. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like I want to know what's going on with the story. And it's not that I don't want give me a zero issue on Bloodhound in addition to the normal Bloodshot Salvation issue coming out, right? Like,
That's how I've always felt about those kind of things, you know, because we used to harp on that all the time when we were like, give us like Livewire, give a one shot of Livewire, give us a one shot of Armorines, give us one shots of like characters we're not seeing very often. And I don't know. I mean, like, maybe it will make sense. Maybe the story arc prior to that, maybe issue 8 will wrap things up. But it's just weird sometimes when the story gets kind of put to the side for something like that.
yeah.
I felt like it really worked. It worked well with Quantum and Woody tonight, but that's not always the case. And
Yeah.
oddly enough,
Well,
I
and
feel
like
like
you
it
said, I
would.
mean,
And I always feel like it's weird that it works with Quantum and Woody, and sometimes I'm like, it doesn't work with any of these other books. Like, just give me the fucking story.
Um, well, no, I think that the Rampage issue is a good example. I mean, that was a really good issue. I thought that issue was it was deep and it was fun and like there was a lot of good development. We learned more about people who hopefully are going to have a big role in this story moving forward. So, you know, I'm sure it's going to be a good issue. We got Ray Fox coming in to help write it. I don't know. We'll see.
I think
And
my
then the
only
only
real
other,
problem though with the Rampage issue is he just came off so sympathetic. You know, it's like he's a fucking kid that like his dad's blamed him for everything, and he's just been like a doormat. You know, just getting his ass kicked all the time by dad for like the most simplest of things. You know, I look at that like as like a parent. You know, where it's like I try to never be hard on my kids for like little things because they're so inconsequential. And his dad's just like whooping his ass like it's like the thing that is scheduled every day to do. So to me, when I was done reading that issue, I just thought, man, like, yeah, he's a bad guy, but like you kind of feel for him, you know? He's been just neglected by any like
yeah,
parental figure.
yeah.
Like
Um,
why and so I'm kind of wondering like why is he gonna have such a hard on for finding Bloodshot's kid now in the future?
yeah, there's still a lot of unanswered questions in that series, and hopefully I don't know. That's what Jeff Lemire does. Like he drops you in a situation where you have no idea what's going on, and then very ever so slowly he, lets you in on what's going on. Like Black Hammer.
Yeah. How crazy would it be if we get to like say 25 issues of Bloodshot Salvation and the way that the story ends leads back into the futuristic story from issue 1.
Right.
And then you would just be like, holy fuck, I've got to read the entire series again to be like, what is going on? It would be kind of a neat thing, like, because he can play around with the time however he wants to. It doesn't have to be quite so linear.
Yeah. We saw from Black Hammer again, another example, non-linear stories being awesome. And then the only other thing that's going to be coming out in May, issue-wise, is the print version of Valiant High, which I never read and
I'm
can
so
talk about.
stoked for this to come out for
Me
two
too.
reasons, too. For one, we're only getting 2 covers. I think that's a really cool thing. But also, as cartoony as this series looked, and a lot of people were just like, oh, it's just not my thing. It is so enjoyable and funny. It is so hilarious to see the Valiant characters in this setting. Totally devoid of everything else. It's its own little universe. It's like Valiant Earth 3. If Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe is Earth 2, this is like Earth 3. It's
Sure.
awesome. It's really silly. It's really entertaining, though. I recommend it. I liked it enough to buy it digitally, and I hate digital.
Yeah, I'm glad it's coming out in print so I can actually read it. Um, Hoodoo is on and saying that them printing Valiant High makes them worry that they're hurting for material. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was always the plan to print it eventually. And it's
Yeah.
also not like they're shrinking the line and using it to hold space. You know what I mean? It's not like they're down to 5 books and they're adding in.
Well,
Valiant
and
High is bringing it
not
up
only
to
that,
8.
but it's not like all of a sudden we have like Elliot Rahal and 4 other no namers, who are like trying to patch together a bunch of books, and then like, oh, by the way, we got Valiant High. The
Mm.
one thought I had from it, honestly, is like, does this mean that maybe different regime we can get Book of the Geomancer, Legend of the Geomancer reprinted?
That would be crazy. That would be crazy if they print a trade of Legends of the Geomancer.
Or even just like a thick one shot, because those issues aren't like full length issues necessarily.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
like 16 pages.
yeah, which was a fucking downer when you pay like $25 for that first issue. You're like, oh, it's only 16. It's like more than $1 per page.
Yeah. Uh, um, I don't know, man. I mean, we are still getting a lot of good books. Like Ninja K is better than that character's ever been. Um, Bloodshot I think is still good. Not as good as Reborn right now, but still good. Quantum and Woody I think has been really fun. Um,
Everything's been pretty solid. I mean, like I think to me the biggest disappointment has maybe been EXO,
yeah,
just because it's had a lag in it. Like it's just been kind of like average for like 4 or 5 issues until I think recently. But I know you still don't really like it, so I mean,
yeah. I haven't really been digging it too much since the beginning of Kinzaron, and um, I know that there are a lot of people that have really been enjoying it. So that's awesome.
yeah.
That it's definitely still been an enjoyable book for a lot of people. It's just unfortunately I'm not one of the people super into it.
I remember
Um,
somebody on a different Valiant, not even a Valiant page. I think it was like just a comic book page. Was like, I've read 2 issues of Matt Kidd's Exo Manowar. It's easily the best Exo Manowar ever. And I just thought you are like high in the night, buddy. Like, and I would love to ask that person now. I wish I could remember who it was. Like, do you still feel it's like the best book ever? Like issue 14 or whatever we're on, issue 12. I'd be curious.
yeah, I would definitely take Venditti's Exo run personally,
Oh,
but
especially for me, especially from like Unity or even like Armor Hunters Up. I mean, it's just such a fun book. It's exactly what needs to be right there. And I know people love everything that comes before. A lot of it just builds up the character, but for me, like he's so established by that point that I just really like those stories a lot more. That's just me though.
can't argue. Can't
And
argue.
that first Unity arc is awesome, where he kills off the first Unity team that he
Right.
faces. Just kicks their ass like they're nothing. I loved
Yep.
it.
Well, I think that may be the week for us. Had a good time hanging out, both being sick, Josh. It's fun.
Hey, and a big thanks to Tor for covering for me last week. I was playing hooky from here. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate him coming on, and it was a good episode. I got to listen to
Yeah,
it.
because you go to other people's bands shows, right?
Well, I haven't been to a show for like a year, so
Yeah. Yeah, you just don't go to your co-host shows when those opportunities come out.
I'm never gonna hear the end of it. Whatever, play Salt Lake again. We'll see what happens, man. Shit.
Yeah. Oh, David says go Cubs.
Hell yeah,
Um,
we're gonna win again this year, man.
yeah,
Boo the
sure.
Twins.
Yeah, as if the Twins have mattered since like 1994.
Like you care about the Twins either, like
Yeah, well, it's being from Minnesota, it's impossible to care about sports. You really, I mean, because we've got the Vikings, the Timberwolves are rarely, if ever, relevant.
is
Um,
hockey bigger than everything though, sports wise?
no, football's still the biggest here.
Mm.
Hockey's bigger than I think it is a lot of other places. And the Wild is a decent team, but nobody gives a shit about the Wild. Nobody gives a shit about hockey. The best team that we have in Minnesota is our WNBA team, the Lynx.
Hell yeah.
They did a couple of undefeated seasons, um, and yeah, like multiple back-to-back championships with some undefeated seasons in there. So that's like the best thing we've got for sports here. So I don't
We're in
know.
Utah and we just have the Jazz, and I'm just not a fan.
North Stars. Hoosiers saying they go North Stars, but um, man, I remember having North Stars clothes when I was a kid because that was a thing here.
Yeah.
Oh, that was back in the day. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Sean and David and Chris was here earlier, and Hoosier coming in and hanging out here toward the end. I really appreciate you guys all hanging out, and anybody else listening to this after the fact. That's awesome. Definitely feel free to join us on Thursday nights. We try to 9 o'clock Central come here and talk about Valiant stuff and then other stuff that catches our fancy. Um, and hopefully we'll see you regulars next week and some other folks as well.
Yeah. And if you guys can't join on with us live, and you need to contact us for questions or anything, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we got email. We're around, man. You're probably already friends with Eric and I. Like that's the way the community is, but if you ever want to come on, or even if you just have a question, we like questions. We like co-hosts. So come stop by.
Yeah, and also people feel free to if you ever really wanted to join in and chat with us, that is definitely a possibility of something that we could do. So
Yep.
keep
All you
that in
need is a
mind as
phone
well.
or a computer.
Yeah, just let us know. But yeah, thanks. I'm going to sign off. I'm Eric Baumgart.
I'm Josh Rathman.
And hopefully you all have a great weekend. Stay valiant. And yeah, Hoosier, ducks fly together, man. That's how we do it. Quack, quack, motherfucker.